Welcome back to Ivy Unleashed. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Kiersten Wickenhauser, for being in the house.
Give
Welcome
it up
to
for
Ivy Unleashed.
Kiersten. We love in-person guests, and today's really special.
Yes.
Thank you for being here, making the drive. If we look a little sweaty, we did a workout before this. So it's kind of a special episode in itself that we've been together for hours already.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and Kiersten's here for a lot of reasons. Kiersten is a mom who is a hardworking woman and works full-time and makes time for herself. And on Ivy Unleashed, we've had some really big guest experts on, but what people want to hear is like a real person in real time who's doing it, who's living it out, who's not just coming here to tell us how to do everything, but is living proof of a woman who could easily put herself on the back burner like most do. When you're working full time, when you have multiple kids, and you have made time for yourself. And how we know Kiersten is Kiersten moved to my hometown when I was in 5th grade. She was wearing an Abercrombie and Fitch shirt, and
She was the cool girl.
And I'm like, how do you pronounce that? Abercrombie? I couldn't even figure it out. And she was really stylish and cool and did ballet and all these cool things. But Kiersten moved around a lot. Like somehow we've stayed friends, and from the beginning of Gold Ivy Health Co., she has followed this podcast, became a Move member, and we want to hear the inside scoop, honestly, the real raw truth of what it's like to be a Move member and how you prioritize yourself with all that you have going on. Because you're also chasing you've got big dreams, you've got big things going on, you've got properties, you're like dabbling in entrepreneurship yourself. And so we want to get into it today so others listening can hear tangibly, small step-wise, big step-wise, how you make time for yourself. So let's talk about your day-to-day and where and when you prioritize your mental and physical health.
I feel like that's the big question for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone asks themselves that question. And I feel like when I started thinking more about it, it wasn't about how do I make it fit? It was about reframing that question. And it was about how do I have a schedule that already has that there? And I think that was the big piece for me. And so when I wake up in the morning, my number one thing is to start moving and working out. And it's not a 30-minute like drench. I'm like doing everything I can. I just need 10 minutes, sometimes 15. If I've got 20, great. And literally when I'm choosing which workout I want to pick from Move, it's what do I have time for? But I'm always making sure I'm making the time.
Yeah.
From there, I got to get ready for school. I got to get my kids ready for school. And we are out the door and ready to go. And I'm working all day and picking up the kids after school and meal planning and trying to figure out how to get the right nutrition in, and making sure the biggest thing is once all of that goes away is my nighttime routine. And it's not perfect. I'm still continually working on it, but it's the thing that like literally is the foundation. And I have noticed that that's what keeps me going so that I can get up and start doing it all over again. But
interesting.
it's the habit and routines that are already in place of the schedule and the consistency. If I can keep that consistent, and then once it becomes a habit, then I just feel it. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to do this.
Yeah.
It has been too long, and my body just tells me.
So before you were waking up in the morning, hitting play on one of Move workouts, what were you doing? What did it look like?
Spending extra time snuggling in bed with my kids and hitting snooze and doing all of the other things that made me want to be the opposite of where I am right now. And same thing with like meals and things like that. I mean, it was, okay, well, what do we have? What can we put together? And nighttime was scrolling on my phone and watching shows way later than I needed to be, and not getting the sleep that I needed.
Yeah, which I feel everybody can relate to. And I think even if you do get consistent, sometimes you have those seasons you're like, well, I'm off. I'm doing it again. I'm back to those old habits.
Yeah.
You said so many things I want to unpack, because I think it's, you're in survival mode sometimes. You're waking up to your kid's face by your bed and you're like, okay, this is how my day is starting. And you're frazzled, you're frazzled. But I want to go back because, a lot of people think like, oh, I need to go to bed and restart because today was crap. I did not follow through. But I've been reading a lot about this nighttime centering yourself, visualizing the gratitude then, the centering then. And so can you talk about that routine and that like maybe the evolution of how you started doing it and kind of where it's at now?
Sure. So I would say I actually started in the morning because I feel like that's what I was hearing. That's what people were doing. Wake up in the morning, and you start your like little bit of reading or a little bit of journaling. And my brain was not ready for that at 5:30 in the morning. I am a morning person, but at the same time, I wasn't ready to fully put in all of the mental capacity for that. So then I started switching it and started doing my gratitude journals at night. And I felt like I had so much more to take from the day. It was like a closure of the day. And I was able to just think of those things that brought me gratitude and appreciation and thankful. And with that, it felt like, okay, I can shut my mind off now. And now I'm going to read for a little bit. Sometimes I read longer, sometimes I read less, but those were the things. And then I listen to a short little meditation as I fall asleep. And with that, sometimes I listen to the whole thing or sometimes I'm already asleep. I mean, it just kind of depends. But those are the three things that I just continue to do at night when I start it. If I don't, then maybe I just do one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be all the things all the time. When I'm in the groove, it feels great and it's awesome. But sometimes it doesn't happen, especially when you're busy and when I go to bed later because I have to do other things. My husband's traveling or I'm sick or my kids are sick or something else. Like I have to pick and choose. Like what's the one thing that I really need right now? And I'm just going to do that and then be okay with that.
I love it. It kind of eliminates the all or nothing mentality. And to Andrea's point, you wake up in the morning doesn't go how you want. And you're like, oh, screw it. We'll start again tomorrow. Or you wake up in the morning, you're exhausted, and the last thing you want to do, exactly to your point, right? If you're not a morning person or this is newer for you, maybe if mornings are hard, you try at night, lay the foundation so that you can get to bed earlier, so that waking up is easier. Yeah. So three habits is what I'm hearing you say. Starting with gratitude. Let's dive into that. What does that exactly look like? Are you following a journal? Are you simply writing 3 things down? Like, let's get specific.
Yes. I've tried a couple things. I have gone through and learned I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So having a journal that has like a date at the top for me is really difficult and challenging because if I miss one and they're out of order, I don't like that. And that just doesn't work for me. And
You're a very organized cat.
For others, that's great. I'm so like, let's do that if that works for you and you need those prompts and things like that. And I just needed it to be really simple. And so I write the day, just like day number what? It's the next day. It might be a week later and I'm now on day 2. And it's been 7 days in between. That's okay. I'm on day 2 of giving gratitude. And so I just write down 3 things. I try to keep it simple where it's something that I am grateful for, something that I appreciate, and something that brings me thanks that I am thankful for.
Ooh.
So it's just like those 3 starters. And recently I was just listening to Bree Johnson's podcast, who I know you have had on. And during Thanksgiving, she came up with an idea about showing gratitude and appreciation for the things that you don't appreciate. Ooh. And I thought that's such a way for me this year to start to reframe some of that nighttime pieces, because sometimes I feel like I'm just repeating the same things over and over again. And that was like, I don't know why I felt like I needed to try and impress somebody in my journal, but it was like, I felt that need. And at the same time, I wanted to grow from it and become more present was kind of one of my goals at the time of starting it. And at this point, I've felt that growth. And now it's how can I dig deeper? And I feel like at this point, it's how can I take the things that maybe were really challenging of the day and reframe them in my mind before I go to bed and pull out that piece that I'm grateful for or that I appreciate or something that allowed me to challenge myself. And that has been the biggest piece at night before bed, to be able to like, I don't know, lift me up from the inside and build that self-confidence within.
Oh, I love that. It's like,
so powerful.
I overcame this. I did this.
Yes.
And that idea of wrapping up the day. I like that.
Yeah. And I think too, there's so much that you said that is totally gold. And I think I see it in strength training. I see it in the mental health piece. I see it even in what you're saying in gratitude, where you are recognizing this might be hard. This might be hard to do strength training. I've never done it. I don't know what I'm doing. It's hard to do it. But when you feel that stretch, that growth, that challenge, welcoming in a little bit more with some gratitude. Okay, this is pushing me. I don't like it in the moment, but if I can start to recognize and reframe, this is going to bring me to a new level, whether it's physically, if it's with your emotional maturity, if it's in your relationships. Something else I heard too is like, when your relationship, your closest one, like your spouse, is just annoying you, frustrating you, something, if you can find gratitude in it of, okay, this is trying to wake something up in me. Something needs to shift here. I either need to shift my mindset. I need to communicate more. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling this sensation of frustration or whatever it might be for a reason. Mm-hmm. And so if I can thank it that, okay, there's going to be some growth here. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'm thankful I'm aware of it. Then we can do something about it and kind of up level in whatever avenue that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm curious what ways you've seen change in a positive way since implementing this nighttime routine. I know it's easier to get up in the morning, and we'll get into that, but just some things of like, why is this worth it?
And I feel like there are so many. Where do I start? I would say it's an emotional, physical, mental, and relationship growth that I've seen in all of those pieces. So physically, yes, my body has changed. I mean, even just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it's not necessarily every single day. It's as much consistency as I can in the mornings. But over the last year and a half, my body is not the same as it was. I know that. I have evidence of that. I just recently ripped my second pair of pants.
Those move booty workouts.
Yes.
They work.
Yes.
I love
so
that.
2 pants down that don't fit in the right way. Mm-hmm. And so I know that has changed. My energy has changed physically. I mean, in the mornings, I have much more clarity. I'm able to make decisions in the morning when my kids are waking up and grumpy and have their emotions in the morning, and I can take it a little bit slower. And I've been able to also have just better communication and conversations. Mm-hmm. And relationship-wise, I have been able to be a better listener. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the awareness that I have learned throughout that time has allowed me to just pause and just take that time to know what I need, but also to be able to figure out what somebody else needs. And I think the biggest part too for me is just my own self-confidence. And not self-confidence to the point where like I'm flaunting my stuff and I know that I'm great or anything like that, but just more self-confidence of like, I know who I am as a person and more authenticity and building just my own self-efficacy with that. And I think that's the biggest piece that I also feel like other people around me have started to see besides like the physical pieces.
Right. Oh, that's so cool, Kiersten. That's amazing.
There's something to be said when you set these goals and then you show up. You trust yourself. You're like, oh, I said I'm going to do this, and I'm actually doing it. And then I'm reaping the benefits, and I'm showing up day after day after day. I think a lot of the things we talk about, they're not sexy. Right, like writing in a gratitude journal, unless you're looking at a reel online that's like your apartment's really cute and you got this cute journal. It's like, it's the mundane habits that showing up consistently over time give you those results. And what it does internally is like, game changer, exactly to what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned a year and a half, which, you know, in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's around the time that you joined Move. And I'm wondering because this isn't because of Move that you're here. It's because of the decision you made to join Move and the decisions you've made consistently. Like Brooke said, like anybody can join Move and it can just sit in the ether and you don't touch it, right? And you're like, I'll get to it. I'm pumped I signed up because I have all these resources, but you don't touch them. So I'm curious about your decisions, not just to sign up for Move, but like to engage in it, to consistently get in there and do something with it. Like what's happening in your mind space when one, you've decided to make the jump and do it, and then two, how you continually show up for yourself with it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when I first decided to join, I was at a crossroads a little bit. I had spent some time with Catherine, who I also learned from here, and had worked on some of my own mental health. And at that point, I was using all the tools in my toolbox and the things that she had given me. And I felt like I was making progression, but I was stuck in this vicious cycle. And I kept getting back into old habits. And then I would just become aware, which was a great big first step. But at that same time, it just kept repeating. And I didn't know what to do next. And so with that, I took the leap and I was like, I just need something for myself. And as a busy mom, you don't always have the time to yourself. And like, I really don't have many hobbies. And so I just needed something different. And so I loved your community. I loved listening to your podcasts. I was just already there and I hadn't fully jumped in. And I just thought like, let's do it. Let's go ahead and try something. And I was about to travel out of the country and I was ready to just try new things. And I wanted to push myself a little bit more. And when I did, that was the part where I started to build each of those pieces. And the part that was missing is what I figured out in that vicious cycle was the like mind-body connection. I had improved my mind. I had kind of taken care of some of those like past things that I needed to take care of. And I have built that stronger piece, but I needed my body to believe the same thing my mind was telling me. And I didn't have it at that point. And so every day when I show up for like 10 minutes, I can do this. Yeah. And in my classroom, I laugh because like I preach this all day long at school and we talk about a growth mindset. And in that growth mindset, it's how can we do something that we've never done before and prove to ourselves that we can do it. And when you do it, that feeling that goes through your body and gets sent, the natural endorphins that you get from it is what keeps you going. And do I feel that every day? No. But over time, that's what it feels. And when I miss that, when I don't do it consistently, my body is telling me, you need to go back. There's something missing. And so it becomes that habit that becomes who you are.
I'm so happy for you. It's making me emotional.
Oh my gosh, we're crying over here.
I just am so happy for her because I feel like it's so easy to miss this train, like this opportunity to hear that calling to take care of yourself in a new way. Like every woman deserves to feel the way that Kiersten feels, where you feel good about something that you jumped and didn't know what it would mean and you did it and now you have the taste and now you know how good you can feel. And then you have that discrepancy of when I don't show up for myself, I'm not my best self. And even when I do, it doesn't have to be perfect. I love that you keep hitting that because that's what stops so many people. It stops me all the time. I'm like, oh, I need to learn more about magnesium, but then I'll read it another time because when I really get into it, I'll take the right supplement. I'll do, like it stopped me in the past. But just showing up a little bit with the things that are calling you that you want to do, that will make you feel better. And it just makes me emotional because you're caring for little people that are watching you, not only in your household, and seeing this woman who, nobody knows this, but Kiersten's husband travels a lot. He's been in the military and has had jobs that are like overnight, and like he has served our country well and our communities well. Yes. And Kiersten is a parent thank you, Jeremiah. But Kiersten, and thank you, because you pick up the pieces and you keep your household running. And the fact that they're watching you not use that as an excuse to just, not take care of yourself. And then you're a teacher teaching yoga and movement in schools. I think the fact that someone like you is caring for themselves, it's not just you that's reaping the benefits, it's everybody else around you too.
Absolutely. My daughter just the other day was like, why do you work out every day, Mom? I was like, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. I was like, well, it really makes me feel good. And when I feel good, then I'm able to have a better day. And I like having good days and I like having more energy so that I can do things with you. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh, okay. And my son, I don't even know what has prompted this. It came out of nowhere, but he'll get up and he'll start working out himself in the morning.
You don't know what's prompted him?
I mean,
let me guess.
He also is very athletic and likes to move, and his favorite class at school is gym. So with that being said, he is literally running up the stairs in the morning and doing push-ups. And at night, sometimes he's like, oh, just tell me what I should do to do a workout. And I was like, okay, bud, well, we're going to sit down and calm down our bodies a little bit. And he's like, just a couple. And I'm like, okay. All right, well, let's do, a couple jumping jacks or, let's do. And so we talk about it, and he just has gravitated towards this morning little thing that he's been doing. So it's been fun to have those conversations and see those changes. And my husband's been doing his own separate workout. I mean, there's definitely been an evolution of things that have occurred. And is it because of just this? Maybe.
Yeah.
Is it because of other things that have happened because of this? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to your point, it has been an evolution. And I think getting started is the hardest part for so many people. Mm-hmm. It's easy once it's a habit and then you stop doing it because you get sick or something happens and you're like, oh, I know it feels good. I miss it. It's easier to get back to it. But that starting point. Mm-hmm. So when you were starting to implement the morning workouts, what did you find worked well for you to stick to them?
Oh, that's a hard question to answer because it wasn't perfect at the beginning. It started honestly with the reset. I mean, that's when I first joined and I was like 30 days, I can commit to 30 days. Let's just try it out. And I can commit to 15 minutes. That seems very doable. In the past, I have tried other things. I've been a runner. I've ran a marathon. I have done online workouts. I've been a part of, yoga studios, and I've done all those things. And nothing has stuck consistently. It's just, here's this time and this is how it works for me during that time. And then when that time is over, then it's gone. And so the reset at the beginning is what initially got me started into it. And from there, I was able to build one habit. And that was it. I mean, there were these things that we had on our list that we're trying to do both physically and mentally and with nutrition as well. Mm-hmm. But it was just one thing that stuck. And from there, I continued to build, and each time things work out. But the one piece for me was the way it felt in the morning to wake up and work out is the part where it was like, this is now a non-negotiable. And I was one of those people who was always so envious and jealous. Oh, you can get up in the morning and work out. I could never do that. And I know you've talked about that before. And it just is a matter of mindset and starting and not necessarily pushing yourself every single time. I did not. I hit snooze, as much as I could in that first couple of weeks and things like that. And so I would fit in my workout in another time and no big deal. Great, do what works for you. But at the same time, that morning workout was the one that felt the best. And if I continued it, I continued the feeling and continued the momentum and continued each of those pieces. So for me, that's the one that every single time where the morning workout was the one that just really, filled me up. And that was the part where I couldn't get rid of it anymore. Yeah. And now at this point, it's become a habit.
Yeah. Yeah. You said non-negotiable. Which I think there's something about just having that word in your vocabulary, knowing what habit you want to make a non-negotiable, that it eliminates the back and forth in your mind of you give yourself, there's some study where it's like 4 seconds and you can convince yourself no. And so if it's a non-negotiable, you're ending that chatter immediately of, no, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Like, don't think, just do. And also giving yourself grace. If one day you hit snooze, you get sick, life happens. But for you, what it sounds like is you just kept showing up. If I don't hit it, it's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. You do it. You feel a little, ooh, this feels good. You want to keep doing it. And then you're proud of yourself.
Absolutely.
Confidence.
Yes, that confidence. But even with like giving myself grace, it wasn't necessarily where I gave it all up. It was where I now took a moment to rethink about how to change my morning so I can fit that in. So maybe it was, okay, I don't curl my hair today. Or, I just throw on the first thing that comes to mind and I don't change my outfit to like put something else together. So it was just, okay. And then with that too, all of the different varieties that you have, it was again, how do I find one that fits what I have time for today? I can't do the 20 minutes today. Okay, I'm going to do 10.
And girl, you get creative. She came to a workout with something in her hair. And I'm like, what's going on here? She's like, oh, this curls my hair. I sleep in it and I work out in it. And then when I take this out, it's curly. And so I had a couple people that were working out with me. And they were like, can Kiersten send, because we're on a live Zoom. So Kiersten was working out with us. And we're like, we need a picture of Kiersten with this curly hair. So then she sent us a selfie. And so you can keep your hair curly and work out.
Yep. And I just tried a new one with socks just last night.
Your hair looks great.
Thank you.
But to that point, you can show up wherever you're at, whatever you look like. You turn the camera off or you just hit play. Like, you have the options.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm curious, what have you found? I know you love the shorter ones, but just as your experience with a Move member, like, what do you feel like is really making a difference? What are you loving?
I am loving that I can build. I think that's the big piece for me. I started at the beginning very weak. And some of those moves for even like beginners, I was like shaking and like all those pieces. And I physically don't look like I need to work out. And I know that. And I'm not working out to change my body. Like, that is not my intention. That is not the whole point for me. The point is to gain energy, and the point is to feel good about myself. And those are the two things. And as I continue to build, your IYTs started off with 0 weights. My little arms couldn't handle much. And I've built from a 2 to a 5 and sometimes even an 8.
Okay.
Girl.
So like each of those parts where I am able to just figure out, okay, how can I challenge and level up to like the next piece? So weekends, I try to go a little bit longer. It's not 10 to 15 minutes. It's like a 20 or 30 minute one, and trying to like push myself to do a little bit more each time. So that opportunity to start really at like ground zero. I mean, like anybody could walk in and try this and have the modifications that you have and do the steps, or you do less reps, change it however it fits for you. But then also at the same time, choose something that challenges yourself when you're ready for it.
I love that.
Yeah. What about the mental health resources? We have the golden hour interviews and other resources. Is there anything else you feel like you've tapped into or have gotten benefits from?
I love listening to the podcast. I always get a little bit intake from it. And I think that's what I also love the most as well, is I'm not having to take all the things or listen to all the things. You're always really great about explaining like whatever you can get from this, take from it. And so that's something that I really liked. The golden hours are really fun to tap into a little bit and have like an extra sneak peek of like something a little deeper to get some more information and things like that. And I do love like the online community accountability. I know that there's a ton of different wellness, programs and things like that, and they have those big communities. But for me, I just need a little bit. I don't need like the intense, like, oh, you can do it. You must get up and you must do it this next time. Like, this community is like, yeah, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm hoping to do. I mean, it's chill, but also at the same time, like, okay, like, let's push a little deeper. Like the follow-up questions you're always giving me, I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, Brooke, can you not? I'm like, no, tell me. How are we doing this?
It's like, okay, I can be more specific, but do I want to? No. So those parts are really great because it's not at a crazy intense level. And at the same time, also like the nutrition pieces, like there's recipes, there's things that I can get to. Like I will take those pieces when I need it instead of like, I have to follow this nutrition meal plan, or I have to get these supplements that goes with this program, or, you know, all the things. I am just paying for one thing that gives me all the things I need when I need it, when I choose it. And I think that's the part for me that's been great, because I'm not ready for all the things at one time. That's a commitment.
Yeah.
And I like love, again, like go to it. If that's for you and you are part of it, totally support you and all those things, but it just doesn't work for me.
It doesn't really work for most people, right? Like you can throw all the money at the big, like you said, the supplements and meal plans and all those things where you're doing it all at once, but it fizzles out because it's not realistic long term. You know, I think about all types of programs, and everybody has to do what works for them. But, you know, Move is something that we've built for exactly what you're saying, like having it available for you at a cost that's affordable for you to, and everything you're saying too is it's so much mental, right? It's a physical thing, moving your body. Like you are doing work, okay? You are getting up and you're making it happen. And that's not just a mental health piece. Like that is physical. But the reason we started was to give people energy, to build confidence, to make people feel like I'm worthy of this time, no matter what is going on in my world. I mean, you have every excuse not to do it, every excuse. And so I'm just so happy that you invested in yourself and that you keep showing up, that you came to Crisp and Green today. I think it's important. It's important to make time, and it's not always easy. Like it sounds like, 10 minutes, but you're getting your butt out of bed. You're getting yourself set up on the computer. You're doing it. And so I just hope you're so proud of yourself for continually doing that, because it's a big deal and it's making a big difference for all the people around you too.
Thank you. I am very proud of myself. And I think the biggest part that I'm proud of myself for is that the fact that the steps that I'm doing in this program and with you is translating to other pieces in my life. And I have that mindset now that was missing because of the physical piece, in order to know that like I can do really hard things. And those things can be done. They don't have to be done right away. I mean, this is a year and a half. I mean, it's small steps make big gains. I mean, that's the biggest piece for me.
And there's no end. You know, you talk about this evolution and where you started a year and a half ago. And our goal with this program and with Move is that like we're a community all doing it together. And you might have goals of where you want to be in a month or a year, but taking care of yourself, it's lifelong. And it's going to ebb, it's going to flow, and all are welcome. You're starting at ground zero. We've got you. You just need a little more accountability of what you're already doing. You know, there's something for everyone, just to echo what you're saying. And I love that you're feeling that, and there's no time, stopping anytime soon based on how good you're feeling is what I'm
all
hearing
about
you say.
longevity.
Yes.
I mean, when you talk about areas that have like blue zones, you're looking at people who have purpose, but not purpose for someone else, purpose for themselves. And I think that's also the piece here where like, I know now who I am a little bit more, and I'm getting closer to like having that purpose for me. So when my kids are gone and in college and away, like I still have myself. And I think that's where I was starting to lose it a little bit. And you do that throughout life. I mean, you lose certain pieces when you're in a relationship. You lose certain pieces when you have a child. You lose certain pieces when you're struggling or you're sick or you're going through all these things. There are pieces of you that are missing. And to have like a purpose is what keeps you going. And my purpose is just to wake up and move my body. And that feels good. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, your purpose is to feel good in this life.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I have goosies and I just want to cry, and I love it all so much. so happy you're here. So before we get into 3 gold stars, I'm curious. Someone's on the fence of joining Move. They're like, what you're saying, it's sounding good, but I don't know. What would you tell them?
I would tell them it starts with just one little step. I mean, try it. Say yes. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that happens is you tried it. But here's the thing. When you make that first step and you keep going, I want you to tap in to what it feels like. Like if you're on the fence, okay, what are you feeling right now? What is your whole like intuition telling you about why you should try this? Okay, because that's the piece that's missing. Okay. And then say yes and try it and tap into that feeling every time you feel it when you say yes, because you're going to feel it. You're going to feel that piece that's missing and you're going to start to build that whole person.
Oh, magic.
You should be a health coach, girlfriend. I mean, it makes sense. You're a teacher. I wish you were my teacher, damn it. These kids are so lucky.
So happy you're in Move. We get to
Thank
talk to you
you.
whenever we want. I love it. Awesome. Well, as you know,
Yes.
we always end our episodes with
know.
3 segments. First is Kiersten Lee Wickenhauser's 3 gold stars.
All right. I would say number 1 is just to reiterate, small steps, big gains. One small thing is going to make big gains over time. Each small step doesn't have to be every day, just needs to continue. My second, I would say, is just trust yourself and just learn to listen to what you have to say and do that. And it's okay to put yourself first. It's okay to, take the things that you need, because guess what? When you do that, it translates to everyone else around you and in a good way. And I feel like many people don't want to put themselves first because then they feel like they're taking away from others' needs or taking care of like how they have certain responsibilities. Those responsibilities and those needs still stay, but putting yourself first is going to allow you to do a better job of being more responsible and putting those others' needs. So that would be number 2. And number 3, I would feel like just move your body. Just find a way that works for you. If it's going on a walk, if it is, a 10-minute workout, if it is breathing, just find a way to move your body somewhere during the day. I do recommend in the morning, but I will just say, just move your body so that you can find a way to connect your mind and body throughout the day.
Okay, can I just say something? Because I feel like your 3 gold stars are like the opposite of what your personality used to be. Because I feel like
Tell me more.
You used to always put everybody else first, and like you were such a people pleaser, and like you were a great friend because you would do anything for anybody.
Very loyal, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, if you need a loyal friend,
I just
you can
it
call
just
me.
shows your evolution, Kiersten, because I feel like, maybe you trusted yourself in the past, whatever, but you have evolved so much. I love that you trust yourself so much. I love that you aren't a people pleaser in a way that like devalues yourself or like you're unable to live this life you're living. Like you have this energy around you now that you didn't used to have. And I loved your energy before. Like
Well, that's good.
You've always been fun and sweet and a dancer and like someone that's vibrant, but I feel like it's so different now. And I'm so happy that this is the advice you're giving people, because you leaped for yourself, and not just with Move, like just throughout your life. I'm just so happy that, someone that used to cater to everybody else first now knows that it does make the world a better place when you even just take 10 minutes. So just wanted to say like, wow, I keep saying this, but I'm so proud of you and happy for you.
Thank you. I mean, literally the start of this was from jumping in with Move and jumping in with you. And I remember listening to your very first podcast.
Oh, Lord.
Way back in the day. And it was like, okay, I need to really stop and think about like, what is that purpose? It was like coming up with a list of like words. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, if I did that, like, I don't even know what those words would be. Mm-hmm. And that's scary if you can't figure out what those are. And I know that my husband and I have had lots of conversations about like figuring out what makes you happy. And I didn't have any answers, because all my answers were like, well, I feel happy when you feel happy. And I feel happy when my kids are happy. And I feel happy when others. It was all about others. And so now it's like, okay, I know how I feel happy.
I just wanted people that didn't know you to know that you weren't born like this. Like your tendencies weren't that, and that you've built that over time.
Or were you, and now you're just becoming home to yourself?
Oh,
You're pouring into you.
Okay.
You know, you're like getting rid of all of the old habits that were
Yes.
conditioned on you.
Yes.
Not to get super, super deep, but
Back to that childhood, right?
do you have a word for
yourself.
2025?
Yes, I've gone back and forth
Okay.
between my word a little bit. And so I think I have settled on one. I'm, might teeter-totter a little bit. But I think my big word is just listening.
Ooh.
And I know that you all touched on that a little bit already in your first episode this season, but I feel like, listening to my body. And I know that I have also mentioned some of my wellness goals for this year is just like nutrition and protein, and also making sure that I'm doing like the bedtime thing, like the gratitude piece, because that has been very inconsistent, but I notice a difference when I do it. And everyone around me feels happier when I do it, because then I'm just more intentional about those pieces.
Oh, I'm so glad you shared the bedtime. I'm going to copy you. I love that.
Yeah,
That's good.
it has been so helpful. And so I think just listening to others, listening to myself, and I think that's just the big piece that I need to just check in with myself and keep listening and not letting go of that piece.
I love that. Right. The word listen. It's so simple, but the meaning you're giving it of listening to your body, your intuition. To Andrea's point earlier, during that episode of listening to others and just that awareness piece, like the more we listen, whether it's to ourselves or others, we just learn so much more and feel so much more fulfilled. So I love that.
And I want to add on to that too, because something I didn't say with the listening that I'm learning too is even listening to something you don't like. So you're around someone and they're like triggering you, and being with that thing that's like, it gives you the ick, and understanding why, because like, it's not like you don't have to listen to everybody and take in everything they're saying. You can listen and be like, I don't agree with that and why. And you don't have to react to them. But in your times of slowing down, being like, why is that person trigger me so much? Why did that comment? Why did I feel like I had to say something? Why, and the more we listen to our body too, in the moment of what we don't like that we're hearing, what is it about that why do I keep thinking about that thing I don't like? Is it something you want to change in yourself, or something that you want to embody the opposite of it? I think the listening it doesn't always have to be this positive, like I'm drawn to that thing or I need to do that thing. It's like also, I need to let go of this. I don't want to keep feeling triggered by this. Let's maybe talk to my therapist about it or a friend about it to kind of unpack that ick too, I think.
Yeah.
That was on point, because my second word that I teeter-totter was questions. Was like asking myself questions, or asking others more questions so I can get to know other people, or it's like the action step of listening.
Yes.
And I think they do just kind of go together. It just might have to be two words where it's just, in order for all of the pieces to go together, I just have to listen and then ask myself questions and put action to it. So now I'm at 3, but
Listen, question,
Kiersten.
act.
Yeah.
This girl's on fire.
Man, we got to have
Okay.
you back more often.
Next segment, Unleashing Ivy. Just some more questions that we're so curious about. Okay, can I go first?
Yeah.
So before we started recording, we were talking about all different products. Kiersten sent me some grounding sheets. We're talking about Mary Ruth's vitamins, Jessie Golden's tools. Just this girl tries a lot of things, and I love that about you. So I want to know. I already know those things, so let's not go those. But some other product, tool, new find that you're loving.
She's got it. Look at her.
I've got it. So, my husband is also on this like little health kick too, which I super love. He's the one who gave me the grounding sheets. Didn't even know they existed.
Jeremiah.
I know. Yes.
Wow.
He is a gift giver. That is one of his things. So he is a great gift giver. He really, shout out.
Jeremiah, my gift, my size
My wish list.
is airplane window seat. Thanks.
So I would say he has gotten me onto ashwagandha.
Sure.
And so that is like my new thing. I do one in the morning and I take a second tablet at lunch to help me like calm for the rest of the afternoon because they say to take 2 a day. So I just split it mostly because my body does not like when I put too many things in my body at once. And so I just split it up a little bit, and I'm calmer, I'm just more relaxed, and definitely the one midday. Like I'm almost wondering like, okay, well, move in the morning helps me just kind of recenter and align, and I'm feeling already pretty calm. So I'm almost wondering if I tried to with lunch, I wonder how that'll help me get through the rest of the day. And one seems to do good, but I might experiment with both at lunch.
Ashwagandha too, it helps regulate cortisol levels. That's why I was recommended to take it too, is like if you feel like at all like you're constantly fight or flight, like ashwagandha is something over the counter you can take that's not, you don't have to have a prescription for it, and it helps with cortisol levels.
Do we have a good brand that we're loving? Give the people.
You know, that's a great question. I don't have that in my mind offhand. But I've tried a couple others. I will say the one that I'm currently using is an extra strength. I have used it before in like a calming powder that I've tried before. And I didn't quite see the same results with that. So the extra strength version and the 2 tablets can definitely share with you. I do have a picture I shared with friends recently.
There we go. We love it. No gatekeeping around here.
I love it. Okay, my question. Gosh. There was something I thought of earlier, and now I have a different thing in mind. What do I go with?
You're good. Don't question it.
Okay. All right. So I feel like we've really talked about the mental health benefits of everything you've been doing, like the confidence, the energy, the positive, wave that's coming from you. I want to talk a little bit more about the physical. Because, some people, they're like, no, I want results. I want to look better. I want to look good by summer in my swimsuit or feel better in my skin. And I know that's not the purpose of what we do and Move or why you signed up. But would you just talk about what you've noticed with your body in any capacity of what comes to mind when you think about results that way?
Well, my pants ripped in my glutes.
Give it up.
So it's definitely the glutes on point, Brooke.
Brooke's like, this is my purpose on earth. Is to
I
help
had
people
my
have
future mother-in-law, who's a Move
booty.
member, send me a text saying some quote that I mentioned about getting a fat PHAT ass. And I was like, yeah, maybe it's time to remove that video from the library.
Oh, yes.
Kiersten knows what
I've
that
rewatched that one many times.
So maybe we keep it. It's bringing people some joy.
Oh, yes. So I would say definitely the glutes have been there. I have seen changes in my arms, as I mentioned, upping slowly my weights and things like that. My husband even mentioned too, like just my physical performance when able to like help with things.
Oh, I thought we were going dirty for a second.
Yeah. There's
But
that
she has
too,
more energy.
It's all around. But like being able to help with certain things, like he just made bunk beds at our cabin and we needed to move them over that. They're heavy and I had no problem being able to help out with that.
Hey, girl.
And we also had to take a new grill that got sent to us from the front of our home all the way to the back of our home. So we had to lift this, I don't even know how many pounds. I mean, intense, all the way up our front stairs, through our house into there. And it was just he and I. And so I felt like, yes,
I love that.
I like physically can see the strength and moving things. I am currently working a little bit more on my leg definition. I am already seeing some changes, which is super awesome. I can say I know with Move, like those 10 to 15 minutes, many of those moves can sometimes be repeated. But the thing is I know every time I'm doing them, it's because it's like high efficiency for less time. And that's my ultimate goal. And so I am seeing those changes by repeating some of those moves, slightly changing in different varieties, depending on, whatever workout I'm doing, but definitely toned legs.
Love it.
Thighs specifically is my goal.
Yeah.
I love it. Ugh. I love this for you. I love this for us, for our listeners. Like, some good stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay. Last question. If you could go back, tell younger Kiersten one thing, what age would you choose? And what would you tell her?
That's a great question. I think I would go back to high school. I say that because I had just moved to a new city in high school.
Broke my heart.
I did. I didn't even think about that part.
Now I'm depressed again.
She needs move.
Okay, just quickly. Kiersten moved when we were going into freshman year of high school. She was my one friend that like didn't want to drink alcohol and do all the naughty stuff. And so she moved and I wrote her this letter that she let me read recently.
Shaming her for leaving?
It just was like, poor me. How could you leave me? And it was so sad because it wasn't Kiersten's choice. And so I still feel bad I wrote that.
Oh, it's okay.
I think she's forgiven you.
And I'm glad we stayed friends because I think I was just really worried I would never see you again.
Yep.
Didn't you stay pen
Here I
pals
am.
or something?
Yes.
Am I remembering that right?
Oh, yes.
You guys are cute.
Way back in the day when we didn't have technology and you had to write each other letters.
I'm so sorry. Okay. You would go back to high school.
Yes. So I would go back to high school. At that point, I think I was like feeling like I was having a fresh start and I was starting new. And I felt like I needed to be this different person. And so there was a lot of mistakes, a lot of things that happened in high school that I wish I would have redone. And some of that was resurfacing and why I was like having all these like ruminations, and not just from high school, but all the things. But I feel like that's like really where it started, and it just kind of got worse there. So if I could go back to high school, I would just tell myself to just be who I was and keep the person that I had and just be that and be okay with that. And it was okay. But it's so hard. Belonging is such a innate, physical, mental piece. But if I could, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Just be you.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, but it does take practice. And everything you shared today is proof that you can get back to feeling your best. And the more you pour into you, the more you listen and you question, you learn what is true to me. And maybe what was true back then isn't true today. And that's okay. But you are taking the work, you're doing the work, you're showing up, and everything you're saying is giving everyone listening permission to do the same. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I hope they take the leap.
Yeah. And, just from a business standpoint, like Brooke and I started Move for you, right? Mm-hmm. We wanted someone like you for it to land on your lap and for it to be something that's valuable. And it's not just that. It's when someone like you says yes to yourself and engages in it and gets the benefits from it. And I think, you over and over and over again in so many ways are showing it for yourself. You worked with Catherine. You're partnering with us in Move and engaging in it. And just, I want everybody just to hear your story of how it's little tiny steps. And I'm so happy and honored that you shared it, because it's a big deal to jump in front of these microphones and say how you do life, right? But you're doing it so beautifully and imperfectly, and being okay with that. Like, I love that you're sharing the real view of what it can look like, and that your kids are, what they're doing. Like, it's so beautiful, Kiersten. And I'm so happy we're friends, and that when you left me and moved
you came
away,
back,
that we stayed.
You can't get rid of me.
You're just such a beautiful person, Kiersten.
Thank you.
Inside and out. I just love you so much. I'm so happy you were here today.
I appreciate that. I'll write it in my journal later.
Yes!
What a beautiful tie the bow. Yep. Okay, we send our listeners, with a piece of gold, a quote that speaks to you. What quote would you like to share today?
This one is one of my favorites that I have always loved. Audrey Hepburn is one of my all-time favorites. One of her very famous quotes is, "Nothing is impossible," because the word literally says, "I'm possible."
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun.
Let's just pause for a moment.
Kiersten Lee Los Wickenhauser.
Oh, I maybe should have hyphenated. I should have turned to like 30 letters.
That was a mouthful first. That was so good.
So
you
good.
are such a beautiful speaker.